it's always been a good series. They've got, and it's local. Usually it could be local pastors, it could be local ministry heads like, what was the guy's name last week? Bob from Youth Guidance.
Yeah.
He's from Youth Guidance.
Family Guidance.
Yeah, Family Guidance.
Bob, yeah, his name's Bob.
Bob Jameson, right. And some of our church went to Family Guidance. We helped put the roof on there. Adam was there with some of our younger guys and gals from our young group here, and just doing a great job. That guy, RJ, I think it's RJ. Big guy. This guy was a machine. I mean, I was praising the Lord that he was there, because we had to haul all those shingles up the ladder. RJ was doing it. He was doing it. So, I mean, he's hauling them all up there. I'm up there. I'm getting worn out picking them up off his shoulder after he gets to the top of the ladder. So, in any event, so it's just a great thing to unify, to try to unify the factions of churches all over the place. And I'm thinking about, Kenny and I were talking the other day, and I don't know if you were in on that conversation, Ed, about there's all these little pockets of men's groups all over the Pittsburgh area. Nobody knows what anybody else is doing. And so I'm thinking of trying to get some kind of gathering, either once every 6 months or once a year, where all the men's groups just come and get together somewhere in Pittsburgh to get unified and to say, hey, we're on the same page here. We're serving the same God. Because I started attending a small, it's called CBMC. It's a Christian Businessman Men's something. I don't know what the C stands for, or A, association. But it's all over the world. I'm looking on their website. They're all over the world. They have these little pockets of guys meeting their businessmen. And so they're scattered all over the place. Leo Wisniewski, who is, he's on Tunch's show. He was an NFL player. He used to go to church at New Community, and he's got some kind of men's ministry that he's working with now. Yeah. Yeah, so I don't even know what he does, what he's doing. Tunch is in the South Side. They got something going on, their church there, and just all these men's groups all over the place. But it'd be nice to say, hey, we're unified. We're going to change Pittsburgh as men, and through a lot of that stuff, we can get other men in. So this is a series. Each of these things kind of build, but they're independent. So if you can get somebody to come and just gather with men, the value of any of these things are the series are good, but what makes this really good is that we can run ideas by each other as men and talk and share things that women just don't understand. So I used to be that opinion back in my early years. Well, if I ever got married, I'm not married, but if I ever got married, I'd share everything with my wife. And I found out, man, that is not the case. Because you go, boy, that secretary is really looking hot today, honey. I don't think it goes over really well. You say that to the guys, you go, yeah, I know, I've been through the same thing. So that's not just that, but a lot of other stuff which just doesn't compute with the ladies, and there's stuff that they need to talk to other women about that we can't. It doesn't compute for us. So that's the value of these series. So in the spring, we're looking at right now. I don't know if you ever heard of a series called Every Man's Battle. Pornography is just rampant in the church and outside the church. It's I forget, $70 billion or maybe $7 billion industry around the world. It's just growing. It's just getting worse and worse. And I speak to high school students for the Women's Choice Network on abstinence education, and I tell these young men especially, you can be hooked on pornography just like that. With us, when we were growing up, you used to have to work to hide that Playboy magazine, man, and get it and look at the pages, and it was all sneaky, and it was easy to catch it too, But now, click, click, boom, I'm right there. All I gotta do is put XXX in there, and bam, I can see it in a moment. And so, I can't even begin to think of the problems that our young guys are having. And women are hooked on it too, but not nearly as much because we're so visual. So young guys, it's just growing and growing and growing. And right in this congregation, we have guys that I've talked to that have had some pornography issues. And in pornography, just because you only look at the Victoria's Secret catalog doesn't mean you're not hooked on pornography. You know, and there's a reason why. I was just looking through a catalog, and after we were talking about this, I was just looking through a catalog, a Travel Smith catalog. It's on travel clothing and stuff. You know, and I look at other ones, and there's a reason that the women's lingerie thing is right before the men's section. I'm convinced of that. You know, I'm convinced of that. Why couldn't they put the women's lingerie thing midstream or something? I mean, 3/4 of the magazine, maybe 4/5 of the catalog is geared towards women. You know, you got all these women's clothes in there. Why can't you put the women's clothes, underwear section somewhere in the middle there? No, they put it right before you get to the men's page. You know? And I know they're thinking, this is good. This is marketing, baby. Yeah. And guys just get hooked on that stuff. We can get hooked on it really quick. So we're thinking about that. Every Man's Battle has a fuse. It's not going to be the whole term. I forget. It's maybe a 4 or 5 week session where we can just delve into this and start hacking through this stuff, because it's easy to slip in and out of that at any time. And it's not just a congregational thing. I forget, like 50% of pastors have issues with pornography. You know, so it's not. It's a real prevalent problem, and the worst thing that we can do is be isolated and say, well, I'll just deal with this. It's my problem. I'll deal with it. It's something that we need to share with and hold each other accountable for. So we're thinking about that, and then also, and if you guys have any suggestions, you said, this looks like it'd be a really good series, something we could go over, then please bring those things up, because we just want some good interaction. Charles Stanley just came out with a new book called Turning the Tide, Real Hope, Real Change. And it's really addressing the times that we're in today. And I don't know if you guys have been looking at all the political and the economic scene, but our country is in a mess. And we're due, some predict, to be in a depression, not just a recession. So if that would hit, is the church ready for it? What are we doing? I mean, B.J. Miller does it. He meets with a group every month, just about, or every couple months, about just preparing. What do you do when the lights go out and the utilities go out and there's rushes on? I mean, we just in the supermarkets now, they'll kill each other for a designer clothing item, let alone food. I mean, BJ did a little last session I was at. He did a little video clip up in Massachusetts. They had a water outage. And all you had to do was boil your water, and you'd be fine. But the shelves got clean of water. Nobody, they were mad. And the government came in, and they were giving water to people. And they were yelling at them because they ran out of water. What do you think? I'm entitled to this water. So that was just a week or two outage of water, and they couldn't boil it on their stove. So our country is at this tension level that they're ready to go off. I mean, you see it every morning, traffic, and you might be one of them. So, but we're dealing with these kind of things. So we're thinking about that series too. But any suggestions you have? Now, how many of you guys have access to Facebook, or you stay as far away from it as you possibly can? Anybody have access to Facebook? Okay. Just to give you a heads up, we're going to be getting online with a system called the Hub with the church. And you'll hear more and more about this. But it's going to be strictly for the congregation, the new community. And it'll be a way you get, who is that? What was the name of that guy? Or that family? I just don't. Well, whatever, yeah, it's kind of it's the online directory. It's updated. It's going to be my easy way of connecting with you. I don't have to worry about your email addresses. If you don't want to be on that email list, you just click, say, I don't want to be on it. You don't have to email me, and you know how that goes when it's something on your email list. If you eliminate it one spot, it's somewhere else all over the place, and you're clicking back to that person. They're going, I told him not to email me. But all the information will be updated there. You'll be able to just log in, see what's going on with the men's fraternity, see what's happening, and it's just going to be a nice way for the church to connect and communicate. So we'll probably be on that. We'll be on that. We're already on there. They're sort of running a pilot program with the leadership of each ministry and seeing how it goes and working out the bugs. And then I think in January they're going to do a full-blown Every week we'll record my session. It's not going to be your group sessions. We're not going to record you talking. Okay, that's not what we're here for. But we'll record the group session. I'll give probably like a 20-minute just prep of this. So if you look in this book, there's a you go review the next session coming up. So I'm going to go over that. We're going to do that from a men's perspective. We're going to tailor the questions to deal with men issues. Some of them are generic. It goes either way. But we're talking this from a men's perspective. And so if we get in touch with it, for those of you guys who have been through the Lewis series, he came up with an alarming statistic of how if children are going to church, there's a 25% chance they'll get the rest of their family to go to church. Same way with wives. If the wives are going and the husband's not going, there's a 25% shot that she's going to get him to go. If the man goes, there's a 90 or 95% chance that the rest of that family will go to church. That's how much influence we have as men. And so just think how powerful that is when we get to church. And one of the things about the Lewis series was getting us in touch with the church generally gets us to come in and be passive and all nice. And that's what we're supposed to be, sit there, be all nice and stuff, instead of go out and kick some butt or do whatever we go shoot something, or there's things that we do as men. We want to go out and feel like we're doing it. And that's why we don't phrase this as a Bible study, because it sounds too mushy-feely. It's more of a men's group and a men's study based on biblical principles. And that's what the Lewis series is, and that's what this is going to be for us. So we're not here to study the Bible as much as we are to wrestle with men issues. Those of you that are in the study group, you can look at that more from a biblical perspective, but we're going to look at this from a men's perspective and really take hold of this and say, what does this mean for us as men? And we want to become better men and fulfill what God has told us and guided us to do, is guiding us to do. All right. So, what I'll do with these is we're going to record these. I'll send out an email after we're done that week, and then all you'll have to do is there's a link on there. And Ed, if you could throw that up there, I got a little demo.
Oh, the video?
Yeah, throw the video. And I just did a little demo if you're not familiar with. How many of you guys have been on YouTube? Do you know how to get to YouTube and all that? Okay, well, this little demo is going to give you a rough thing of it. It's pretty basic.
Oh, sorry.